Hi, Ryan Walsh here, and I'm so excited about what I'm going to share with you today. It comes from the U.S. Navy SEALs and what they call their Big Four skills of mental toughness to 20x your potential. That means achieve 20 times your normal performance. The way I remember the Big Four is an acronym, MVPs, sort of like most valuable players. So it's MVPS. M is for micro commitments. So this is the idea of taking a huge, daunting project and then breaking it down into bite-sized chunks. So what you want to do is be very extra clear about the short-term deliverables. You need to be sure that you know what you're trying to do and make it measurable. And that's really hard to do the bigger the project is, and that's why you need to make it smaller and smaller. So for the Navy SEALs, if they're thinking about how do we get all the way across this town, they want to break that down and instead just worry about how do we get across this one intersection. And then what you do is you trust your future self to be able to make decisions and handle whatever comes up. And you want to loosen up a bit and be ready to improvise and figure out whatever you need to. As long as you just repeat that process of thinking, okay, with laser focus, here is this one task that I have outlined very clearly, and I know how I'm going to accomplish this and when I'm going to be done and how well I will have done it because it's very measurable. V is for visualization and mental rehearsal. There's a famous researcher at Harvard named Sean Acker, and he speaks about how most people, they think about their contingency plans and their escape routes, and they neglect to plot out their success routes. What if everything actually works out for me? What if everything lines up in my favor? How would that look? How could things really play out? So that's one thing that you really want to visualize. Actually take the time to think through how you want things to go. Michael Phelps, who won more gold medals than anyone else in Olympics history, that's what he was known for. His training out of the pool. He would actually sit there and he would put his headphones in and close his eyes. He'd just listen to some music that he liked, and he would visualize every single stroke through the water. And he would think about how the water would be sliding right off of his skin, and he would be counting each of his strokes between one wall and the next, thinking about how he was going to get to the next wall, thinking about his competition, thinking about the crowd, thinking about the sounds in the sound system, and just really feeling in his body how his body was going to feel when he was going to be winning the gold medal after gold medal in the future. And so he planned out in great detail in his mind. It was like he was watching a movie of his successes, and it really works. There's a saying that you can't see it until you believe it. You've probably heard, I won't even believe it, I won't believe it until I see it. But it's actually true the other way around, where you won't even be able to see something unless you first believe it. What do I mean by that? Opportunities are arising all over the place, all the time. And if you haven't prepared yourself for looking out, like, what would I want if everything were going to go my way, then you're not going to even notice all of the opportunities that arise for you. You might think that something's too good to be true, or you might be focused on your escape route over here, or trying to mitigate some risk over here, and you're not noticing a door that opens for you. So this is one of the factors and why visualization and mental rehearsal is so important, because it really opens you up to the positive aspects, all of the potential for what could happen, and let you just find those paths that fit you best. P is for positivity of self-talk. In the Navy SEALs, they say things even when they're really in a bad situation and they're straining to get through it, and they might be hurt or they might be up against some big challenge. They'll say things out loud, they'll say things to themselves, but also out loud to their team, and they'll say things like, "Easy day!" And what they're saying is, they're not saying like, "Oh, this is the easiest day we've ever lived," but they're saying, in reality, like, this is an easy day compared to what we've trained for. We've already prepared for much worse than this. So let's focus on the positive. This is an easy day. Another one that they like to say is, "We get to do this." And how cool is that? in the heat of battle or when you're under lots of pressure, to remind yourself that this is not an obligation, it's a privilege. In the case of the Navy SEALs, they had to beat out lots of other people for that prestigious assignment to be in that very elite squad of people. And so even though they're in a tough situation in the moment, they remind themselves that they'd rather be doing nothing else in the world. This is exactly where they want to be. This is the challenge that they signed up for. And that's the same in our lives, in our businesses. We want to remind ourselves frequently, we get to do this. Look at what we're creating for ourselves. These are exactly the problems that we want to be facing, because we don't want to be working for someone else's dream. We want to be chasing our own dream and building our own dream. Do you ever think to yourself something along the lines of, oh, I really should have accomplished more by now? Or, oh, I can't believe I didn't get more done. That's equivalent to saying or to thinking to yourself, I suck and I am never good enough. Now think about how harmful it is to carry around that negativity and how pervasive that thought process can be in your mind if you're always evaluating yourself in a very critical way. And that's not good. We want to turn that around. We have about 65,000 thoughts a day, and about 95% of them are the same as yesterday. So how important is it that our thoughts be positive? We are carrying around the same thoughts, so let's work bit by bit to make sure that the thoughts that we do have and the ones that we're going to have tomorrow are working in our favor. The last letter in the acronym is S, for state management. This is all about mind-body interaction. That's how your psychology affects your physiology and vice versa. What we're talking about here is breathing, your posture, exercising, doing things so that you could intentionally change your physical situation by standing a certain way, by adopting a specific breathing pattern in order to calm your thoughts or narrow your focus. And the other way works too. If you can think certain thoughts that relax you, you can actually steady your hand and prepare yourself physically to be able to handle whatever you're about to handle. So again, the big 4 skills of mental toughness that can 20x your potential are MVPS: micro commitments, visualization and self-rehearsal, positivity of self-talk, and state management / mind-body interaction. See which ones of these you can put into your practice today, and I'd love to hear about it in the comments.